After starting Thursday's plenary on a rowdy note, the House of Representatives has passed the 2017 budget. The House passed the budget after adopting the report of the Appropriation Committee. President Muhammad Buhari had presented a budget of 7.298 trillion naira to the National Assembly in December 2016. But the Committee on Appropriation, headed by Senator Danjuma increased it to 7.441 trillion naira. We'll focus on this in just a moment with Samuel. Samuel, of course, is my guest on the show. Samuel Atiku will be talking to us much later on this as well. It's prime time in Lagos, though, and data feeds are coming through in one place simultaneously on all our social media platforms, channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. We're live right now on Facebook as well. Tweet at Gimba Umar CTV and use the hashtag State of the Nation to air your thoughts on the subject. More than 3 years after they were abducted from their school by Boko Haram insurgents, about 82 more of the over 276 Chibok girls taken have reportedly regained their freedom. The government is expected to respect their privacy and ensure that the released girls are reunited with their families and not keep them in lengthy detentions and security screening. The latest development will mark the biggest progress in the rescue of the schoolgirls whose abduction shocked the world. It brings to 103 the number of girls so far released by the terrorists. All clear for Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu as the Supreme Court has affirmed his election as Abia State Governor. 2 out of the 3-man panel of the Supreme Court struck out the appeal of Mr. Uche Oga, challenging the nomination and election of Ikpeazu, thereby affirming the judgment of the appeal court. Mr. Oga's appeal was dismissed for lacking merit. What does this mean to the judiciary and the people of Abia State in a case that has dragged on for so long now? It's prime time in Lagos, and this is State of the Nation. Welcome everyone in Nigeria and the rest of the world. I am Gimba Umar and this is State of the Nation. Still right behind me, data feeds are coming through in one place simultaneously on all our social media platforms. Be part of the show. Send your tweets using the hashtag State of the Nation and at Gimba Umar CTV to air your thoughts. We begin with the National Assembly Budget 2017 that has just been passed, having been submitted by the President in December last year. Atiku Samuel is a lead researcher budget. He joins me on the show to look at this. Many thanks indeed for coming on the show at this time. You have seen that much that has been passed by the National Assembly. Let's talk about the timing, though, of the passage of this budget. It was submitted by the President in December last year. Up to that time, it has taken about 5 months to this time before we got the passage of this. Are we subconsciously accepting that it is okay now that we have a budget in May?
Well, it's good we have a budget, just like last year also. I think around May 5, the last year's budget came into play. But really, 5 months is actually a long time. But notwithstanding, in some countries, for instance, if you look at the United States, sometimes it takes roughly 10 whopping months for the Parliament, their Congress, to actually go through the budget. But really, if you look at the budget and compare the executive proposal, what was finally passed, it's roughly about 99% the same thing. So really, I think politics, the political economy of everything actually, I think is taking, really look at the budget and try to...
It's taking precedence over the passage of the budget.
Apparently.
How dangerous is this to the budget process?
Number one, the budget itself is the only way the executive government itself at the federal level could communicate their policies. And then how does this fit, of course, into the economy? Of course, the economy has been in a recession. Really, if you ask the organized private sector, for instance, the construction sector, to what degree do they depend on the federal government's budget? Because we're talking about the federal government here, to actually raise themselves up. If we look at the manufacturing sector, to what degree do they depend on this? So if we begin to look at sectorial and begin to analyze on a sectorial basis, we discover that whether we like it or not, the federal government's policy, that's the fiscal policy of government, inherently affects and cuts across what happens around the economy. And even beyond that itself, the perception. Of course, economists talks about understanding behaviors and behavioral pattern of people. The perception of foreign investor is one thing that is actually affecting us. And if you look closely at the numbers, the last few days, where, of course, we begin to see green light, you see the Nigerian stock exchange, you see, of course, portfolio investment coming again from outside the country when we started seeing that green light. So whether we like it or not, the fiscal policy of government cuts across and impacts.
This is what my apologies. This is what the president of the Nigerian Senate said. He has asked the executive to pass the budget 2018 early enough, just so that they can deliberate on it and have it passed. Is this a political statement? Because we know that the 2017 budget was actually passed in December, but it was faced with political turmoil, as you said.
Oh, really? I think the Senate, I want to actually stand with the Senate president on this. Of course, we have many reasons to disagree, but we want to stand with him on this. If you put in the budget and you're presenting a budget, of course, to Parliament, and you expect them to do a detailed job, of course, it's subjected to actually see whether they've done that. But you're presenting the budget on December 22nd, when the legislator is even going on holidays. Of course, and the fiscal year is supposed to start, apparently January 1, doesn't really make sense. So ideally, if the executive had actually presented the budget, maybe sometimes around October, September, then we could actually say yes. So if you look at the Fiscal Responsibility Act that guides, of course, the preparation of the budget, at least they make time. I mean, for instance, the pre-budget statement, which is our medium-term expenditure framework, should ordinarily be, the fiscal responsibility says you have to present that around September. Unfortunately, it was not presented, and that should be the basis for preparing the budget. It has to be, of course, maybe endorsed by the legislators, which was not done, and then the executive. So I think the legislators have their problems, but the executive also need to do something. When you present, it's better we start presenting the budget on time.